First, let me show you how easy it is to get started with Dapr. Dapr is a CLI that allows me to do local development. I can do Dapr init that configures Dapr on my local machine, including setting up a local Redis state store. I can do Dapr run that runs my application with Dapr as a sidecar. I can do Dapr list that launches and runs and shows all the running instances of Dapr on my machine. We're going to build this application in both .NET and in Node. So let's look at the .NET version of this first. Underneath my .NET application, I have a components folder here, and you'll see that in the components folder, I have a Twitter and a state store component. Now the Twitter component configures a Twitter binding here, so that every time I get a tweet on a particular query, the tweet will come at this particular endpoint. The state store here is configured up to use my local Redis state store here. So the state store is called tweet store, where I'm going to save all my tweets to. Let's look at the code for .NET, which is written in ASP.NET Core. Here I've taken advantage of using the Dapr first class client for .NET in order to build my application. And using this client, I can save everything inside the tweet store. How do I do this? Well, first I'm going to configure an endpoint here called tweets, which is where all the tweets that come in from my Dapr component are sent to. And this is the tweets endpoint just inside here. You see inside the tweets endpoint here, I receive the request. I take the body of the stream, I deserialize it into a Twitter class, which I then use the Dapr client to with its save state async method in order to save that into my state store with a particular tweet ID and all the tweet information about it all. So this line here shows how incredibly easy it is for me to receive the Twitter information and save it to my local state store. So let's go ahead and run this application. I'm going to take advantage of the Dapr CLI. So here I'm going to do Dapr run, the name of the application, which I'm going to call provider, the port it runs on. I'm going to launch Dapr on port 3500 as well using .NET Run. So when this starts up and runs, you'll see that as new tweets are posted, each one of those will be sent and displayed in the console window here. So here are the tweets coming in. This is a query about cats. Clearly the internet has plenty to say about cats. So if I just stop this here and go and look at the Redis Explorer, and let's expand and refresh the Redis Explorer here, you'll see inside here I will have each one of these tweets that I sent with its particular ID saved. So this is the name of the provider and this is ID, and here's all the tweet information saved inside the Redis state store inside here. Super simple to save it all away, and I can save as much data as I need inside this particular line item inside this entry. Let's now go and look at the Node version of this application. So again, with the Node version of this, I have a components folder set up for state store and for Twitter. This time though, the application is written in Express, and this is a very simple Express application, so I haven't decided to use the Node library. Instead, I'm just doing direct HTTP calls. So you see here I'm doing a local host call with the Dapr port, the 3500 we're using in the CLI, and then I'm simply going to call on to the state building block and say save everything to my tweet store, which is the same as the Redis state store we're going to save all our data to. As before, I have a tweets endpoint here, which I get called onto. I take the body of the request that comes in, I turn it into an object here with all the necessary Twitter information, and then I call the save content endpoint. If I look at the save content endpoint, you see it's as simple as doing a post message with the content to this state endpoint here in order to save my data. So this shows me how you can build a application using Dapr, using the Dapr building blocks for state and for the bindings, and how quickly I can get started.